Hello again, and today I am going to be diving into a quite sizable commentary. We are going to be discussing nostalgia and its effects on the entertainment industry and its overall lasting impacts on said industry, as well as a article that drew my attention on Jon Del Arroz's personal website that he wrote in response to the Rise of Skywalker trailer. Before we get started, though, permit me to have a preamble on nostalgia so that we can then move into the broader subject at the end of the video. So, nostalgia in itself is the longing for something from your past. It could be an ex-girlfriend, it could be, a sense of family, it could be a sense of camaraderie among your younger friends from back when you were a kid, or it could be the things you grew up with. There's a lot of currently 90s nostalgia, I'd say, in culture, and it's because those kids are now adults, and I'm in that generation, and we remember all this kind of fun stuff, and I assume that with the 20s coming up, we're going to have more nostalgia for shit like anime and other crap like that we used to like, and believe me, we've already had some anime revivals like Digimon Tri, Dragon Ball Super. I even count Boruto as an anime revival of Naruto. But with Hollywood, with entertainment, the ripoffs can also be considered a form of immediate nostalgia, because essentially what a ripoff of a popular trend in film and in entertainment is usually a secondary market kind of version of a big brand. So if, let's say, speaking of Star Wars, we have the first film, A New Hope, originally called Star Wars at the time, and certain studios out there are like, wow, Star Wars is making all this money. How can we make money off of all these people going to see this one movie that's the only movie like it? And then you have a producer like Roger Corman go, well, Star Wars was basically Hidden Fortress from Akira Kurosawa in space, so why don't we take an existing movie, like Seven Samurai, and put it in space? And that's how you get Battle Beyond the Stars, a really fun Star Wars ripoff with special effects by young James Cameron, his first film job in the industry entirely. And that is a story that you should look into, just by the way. But that in itself is the immediate form of nostalgia through ripping off a bigger property. And we've had multiple attempts at stuff like this. Krull also comes to mind. For some reason, I always put Beastmaster and Willow in there, even though Willow is technically a Lucasfilm property and Beastmaster is just like a straight-up fantasy. But, oh wait, that's why. Because Beastmaster, you can consider to be a ripoff of Conan the Barbarian. Hell, even Kull the Conqueror, the Kevin Sorbo made-for-TV movie, based on the Robert E. Howard semi-Conan character. That is also considered a ripoff, despite it being the same author. It's because they're trying to get that same audience to watch that certain property. And for me, as a young creator myself, as an independent creator, I kind of understand Jon's struggle with getting people to listen to his arguments, which is in said article that we're going to go over. Because right now, if you're creating content, you're in the war for attention. The war for attention that I specifically described in my video on YouTube. And with all of these streaming services, with all these theater chains, with all these bookstores, with all these, independent retailers, we are definitely all fighting for the attention of the audience. And the audience is worldwide. And you're lucky if you get like 3 people from different countries to be reading your shit at this point. Because getting new people to invest in your work is an uphill battle. As someone who has done crowdfunding in the past, I can let you personally know that most of my crowdfunding came from inside sources, from family, friends, and then maybe a couple of stragglers came in. This has been the way since Indiegogo first launched. I remember there was this young filmmaker named Emily Higgins who was one of the first student-level filmmakers, although she was not a film school student, to be crowdfunding for her features on Indiegogo. And as a result, she now has a big career, primarily because she was the first. She was the one who had the foresight, had the knowledge to know, hey, maybe if I can get everybody to pool money in for me, I can get this movie funded and I can make it. And because she went to the right festivals, and because she had the media press of being such a young girl, making a film, getting crowdfunding, bing, bang, boom. Also in a city like Austin, Texas, very cultural. Bing, bang, boom, you got a career. So, as you, who I see, Jon Del Arroz, you're a quite successful writer. You definitely succeed in every crowdfunding campaign you do. Despite having a lot under your belt, you're just kind of doing what a writer should be doing, and is constantly making work. And I honestly 100% truly commend you for doing that, because, oh man, as a young creator, it's just so frustrating sometimes to be making shit on your own without anyone's help. But that's the beauty of writing, is that all you got to do is write and you're good to go. Rewrite, fuck it, do it up. And the other thing I think Jon did really well when he started putting more time and energy into his YouTube channel is creating controversy, because the Jon Del Arroz YouTube channel is now Diversity in Comics, the former name of the channel now known as Comics Matter with your boy Zach. And it definitely stirred up the right people into a little bit of a tizzy. But nevertheless, you now have a growing channel, and that's awesome. I hope I can have a growing channel myself. I don't really know who I'm talking to at this point, but the fact that people are coming by means the fucking world to me. And hopefully, at some point, I will create enough of a controversy to gain myself a good following, and then build from there. So, now that we have nostalgia pretty much wrapped up, I want to start reading his article. And I'm going to affect my voice so that way I sound different from my current voice, given that this is more of a podcast form. It happened yesterday. Some shitty space franchise which has not made a good film since 1983 has the entire internet going ballistic like a bunch of monkeys waiting for a banana tree. And it's flooding my social media feed. We know the story is going to be trash. It's going to be pop commercial consumerism with member berries and not much creativity at all because of the backlash of the last film, The Last Jedi. And so we're going to get an endless cycle of YouTube critics posting that the movie will be terrible, people clicking on it, people going to see the movie a zillion times to confirm that it's terrible, posting about it, YouTube's critics bashing it, people turning into YouTube critics bashing it, and then the actors crying about misogyny and racism and creating free promotion to make this another $1 billion again. Now, if you are paying attention, just a quick act break, Star Wars is not in a good place right now. The reason why I am personally going to be doing multiple Star Wars videos in December is because I want to get the subject done with on this channel. Once The Rise of Skywalker comes out, the capital surrounding the franchise, I think, is dramatically going to die off. Unless The Mandalorian is like the greatest show in the history of television, which only a hype beast would fucking tell you that shit at this point. In one of my videos that I have planned, I do have an interview with someone who I call a Star Wars apologist, and that he is one of these people that is usually very excited for any Star Wars property, like be it movie, book, game, comic. And I'll spoil it right now, he straight up said he's not excited for The Rise of Skywalker. So that should tell you a lot. That when the apologists and the shills are not going as hard as they used to, there's clearly not enough coal on the train. So we will now continue the article. It's so tired. And it's entirely on you, the person who reads the blogs, watches YouTube, to not click these things. Do not talk about the movie. Don't watch commentary on it. Starve it of mentions. Again, act break. I agree with this. I truly do. I think this is the correct way to go. However, you can't stop this big a beast by starving it. You have to get everyone to be negative on it, and hopefully the surrounding air is not positive enough for people to stay with it for much longer. And that's truly what I think what will happen with The Rise of Skywalker. I think it will be the straw that breaks the camel's back on this franchise, and people will jump off in droves. And this is where you should come in, and where you're going to come in right in this article. This is what they do to independent alternatives. The media refuses to talk about it. You will never see any one of these sites ever mention my book Flying Sparks or Justified because they don't want people knowing it exists. And the only way to deal with that information warfare is to do it back to them. Every time you click on a YouTube review or preview of this movie, you are feeding the machine. You are keeping it going. Make content supporting indies. Click on content that's supporting indies. It happens on my blog too. The people here aren't immune. If I make a post positively promoting, say, Robert Kress's book, I will get 50 clicks. If I go, OMG Marvel, you won't believe SJW, I will get 1,000 clicks. You have to stop being the stupid consumer if you want the cultural revolution to go further. I'm sorry to put it that way, but I don't mince words, and this is the hard truth. Okay. This might be my last act break before the end of the article. But I do want to say, there is a problem with your solution. And it's that indies do not draw enough attention away from the bigger franchises. Just like I said before, you cannot just expect everyone to flood to you because you know you're good at what you do. You still need to do the self-marketing. You need to make the big push. If it means buying up ad space, buy some fucking ad space. If it means cutting a promo, you write it out. Writer, cut that fucking promo. Get some creative people. I might send this commentary to you and we might be able to talk about it. Me, the producer of this channel, not my partner, the glorious black Muppet you see on the lawn. But we can work something out, man. I definitely would be down to help you cut a promo. And yes, unfortunately, I have to now address the fandom menace. You guys really got to stop being the stupid consumers. Let the people making the content watch the fucking films. Do not go see this shit yourself. Don't try to be like, oh, I'm an honest centrist fence sitter who's gonna give everything a fair take. It's like, if you don't want these people having your money, don't give them your money. Okay? That's you being a stupid consumer. Thinking that you need to see everything. No. Go see something that you wouldn't normally give a chance on. You know? Up until my friend described the backstory of this feature that is currently in my Best of the Year, The Art of Self-Defense, I was probably going to skip it and maybe see it at a later date. But no, I went right there week after opening week, I believe, and I saw it with a pretty packed crowd for that day. And yeah, it was a really fun movie. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. I think it'll be in the honorable mentions at the very least because it's a great film just exploring masculinity in the modern world. And I think it is important to watch it, and it's really fun, and it's got some good action scenes too, so it's definitely worth your time and attention. So this is John's final 2 paragraphs. Talk about independent works. Speculate on them. Make the conversation. It's tiring, it takes years, and it's a slow build, but all it takes is critical mass. The more people that do it, the sooner we'll be able to take down these giants and have real properties with meaning. Oh yeah, and the final chapter, unfortunately, the final paragraph is just a shilling for his current book series. I think it started with For Steam and Country, and it's moving on to the Iron Wedding. But overall, I think John, despite not having the best hypothesis and maybe the best solution, he definitely is on the right track as compared to some other people who, let's just say it might be a little bit lazy, a little bit like, oh, let's just cross this with this, you know. And not to say that, you know, Jawbreakers isn't great. I think it's actually pretty fun. Like, if it was a weekly series, I'd definitely pick it up. But it does have just, you know, these kind of generic writing tropes. And obviously, from more recent commentaries, your boy Zach has been learning that it's much better to just contract writers now, rather than having him do all the writing himself. And instead, he can just go in like Kevin Feige and be like, I want this plot point, I want that plot point, I want that plot point. You do whatever beyond that. Here's the character sheets, here's certain, here's what I would like the location to be described like, and then, the writer is free to play around with the elements, getting from A to B to C. And this is such a smarter tactic, and I hope that when he does open up to more content for Splato Delgado comics, that he'll find some other great people that can take over shit like Iron Sights, and hell, maybe even do Poor Favor, a Knife Handbook. I'd love to do Knife Handbook. That'd be fucking great. But I gotta pitch my comic before that can ever happen. So, in conclusion, there is one person who I think is independent, a ComicsGater, and currently winning as far as having his own property. And this is the reason why some of these ComicsGate campaigns don't do as well, unfortunately. But since Doug TenNapel is an industry name, a man who recently bought back his original property, Earthworm Jim, he has been able to become a big figurehead, a big powerhouse. And despite all of his more evangelical Christian beliefs, he is able to get Earthworm Jim back to a place where it's in the zeitgeist again. I mean, the book looks amazing. I cannot wait to have it. I already have Jawbreakers and Ravage Kill All Men, which is a fun read. I just hope that they're able to get more issues out, because that was definitely a great buy at that price point, which I believe at the time was like $7.50. Great for, artisanal comics. The $25 for a single issue is a fucking joke. Just by the way, if you're a ComicsGater and you do that, please stop. It's not cute. Okay? You're literally ripping people off for a preamble of a story, and that's why I appreciate Ravage Kill All Men more than shit like Lone Star, more than probably Cyberfrog from what John read of it on his review, because it's just a fucking preamble. There's the whole comic itself is like an exciting fucking incident, and I cannot wait for Cyberfrog to drop, because people will more than likely be a little mad, more than likely, because that means they're gonna have to buy another issue, and they were expecting, from the way EVS or EVP, Mr. Ethan Van Piver, would describe it, as kind of its own story. And that's what I got from the marketing. And it was genius marketing, because I got totally fucking hoodwinked. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, to all the people who just want to mindlessly consume, who don't want to invest in anything new, who don't want to engage with independent creators. So, with all that being said, to all the people who refuse to invest in new shit, to all the people who just want to be mindless memberberry consumers, tread lightly, because at some point they're going to come for your favorite properties, and you'll have nothing left to do with your time.